Hey, Christina.
Hey, Susan.
Are we going to talk about confidence intervals?
We are going to talk about confidence intervals.
Excellent.
Yeah, you know what I think is really cool about confidence intervals?
Tell me.
Is that we take like sample data and we use that to say something about the population.
Right, because you can't really ask everyone in the population most of the time.
Right.
So it's easier to just ask a sample and see what you see in the sample.
Right.
And then infer something about the population from that.
Yeah, so we're really starting to get into inferential statistics.
Yep.
Yeah, so, okay, I'm just going to read this example here for this Gallup poll, which is for real. I read the article about this.
This is really cool.
Yeah. So, in a survey, 41.2% of Americans believe that at least some UFOs are alien spacecraft. The poll has a margin of error of 3%. Give a confidence interval estimate of the proportion of all Americans who believe that at least some UFOs are alien spacecraft.
Okay, so we can't, they did a survey.
Right.
So we can't just blanketly say, I don't think that's a word, but 41.2% believe it.
Right.
41.2% of our sample did.
Right.
But we can't say that about the whole population.
Right. And so that 41.2%, we
Did I say 42.1?
I don't remember.
Well, it's upside down to me. 41.2 is what I meant.
Yeah, so that's our sample proportion.
Yes.
Right? And that's a known thing. And we're going to call that p-hat. It's a nice little symbol there.
Yes, p-hat.
But what I want to do is estimate the population proportion.
The parameter. We have a statistic. We want to estimate the parameter from it.
Exactly. And so that p-hat there, that's what we call our point estimate. It's our best single value estimate.
It's our starting point. Because that's all we know about the population is what we saw in this sample from the population.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a confidence interval estimate lets us give a range of values.
Oh, so what we're going to say is we're pretty sure it's between this value and this value.
Right.
And do a lower and an upper. Okay.
Right. And so that confidence interval, we can take our sample proportion and then plus or minus a margin of error.
Okay. So we're going to sit at the 41.2% and we're going to kind of edge out in either direction a little bit. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to get a number line.
Like it.
Here's 41.2%.
And that's what our sample said.
And then if I add that margin of error, which was 3%, that would make this 44.2% for our upper limit. Okay.
And then we're just going to subtract it down there, right?
Yep. And if I subtract that margin of error, then that would be 38.2%.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a couple of different ways to write that confidence interval.
Oh, yeah. Different notation for it. Okay.
Yep. And so there's one way we could just write 41.2% plus or minus 3%. Okay. Or I could write that as 0.412 plus or minus 0.03.
Yes, because 3% is 0.03.
Right.
Yes.
I could write that as an inequality and say that...
like a between?
Yeah, like a between inequality.
Okay.
And say that my population proportion is between 0.382 or 0.442.
Yeah, so you use the lower and the upper limits, and you use the symbol P instead of p-hat because we're talking about the population is between those two values.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And the third way I can write it is actually interval notation,
Okay.
where I would write that lower limit and then a comma and then the upper limit.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, either way that we write it is fine, but you might be asked to write it a specific way, right?
Correct.
So you might be asked to write it in inequality notation or interval notation or, I don't know, whatever you call this, deconstructed.
Deconstructed.
Yeah. But, we would say we are...
However percent confident. What was this, a 95% confidence?
I think it was 95%.
Okay.
Yeah, we are 95% confident. Okay. That the proportion of, and I'm just going to shorten that to like all Americans who believe in aliens. Is that okay?
Sure.
All Americans who believe, I guess it was that some UFOs are aliens.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah. Is between 38.2% and 44.2%.
And we said all because we're talking about this. Our confidence interval is about the entire population.
Yes.
Not about our sample.
Right.
Please, no. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay. So there'll be a quiz, and
And then we'll show you how to do these.
we'll show you how we calculate that margin of error and stuff in class.
That's right.
All right. Cool.